Hey there, Internet. Felix Finch here. And you know what? It's Friday. It is time for yet another episode of Underground Lucha Things. Unless you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, then it is Saturday, and it is time for another episode of Underground Lucha Things. Unless you're some kind of time traveler, and then you are listening to this in the past, oh well, whatever day it is, it's a wonderful day for Underground Lucha Things. Felix Finch here, and welcome to Underground Lucha Things, a Lucha Underground Retrospective, where somebody that somehow never watched the show, despite being friends with like 3/4 of the cast, finally goes through and watches episode by episode. But you know what? It's not just me. I need help through this journey of people who are more experienced than I. So welcome, if you will, the one, the only, Angie FN, aka Loose Cannon of Midcard Mana. Join me all the way from Hawaii. Hello!
Bang, bang. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Last time we had a pretty exciting episode with the Aztec Warfare, and now we're going to kind of see the fallout to that.
Yes, I'm excited. This is a good episode.
Spoilers. But yeah, this episode actually starts off with Dario clearly making some evil plans. As we're back in his weirdly lit office, he's addressing Fenix in the office and says that he's been very impressed with Fenix and wants to give Fenix an opportunity to live up to his potential and defeat Prince Puma. And obviously, Fenix doesn't want to be used by Dario because he can tell that Dario might be a baddie. But you know what? Dario says this is going to be for the Lucha Underground Championship, so why not? But we go through, which in a shot that makes me still question how the hell this temple is set up. We go through Dario's window to the outside to another window that apparently looks into the office across what I'm guessing might be a courtyard near the temple. I don't know about temple construction, but Mystery Leather Lady is watching this go down, and she exits camera right, so I don't know what's going on. Again, I want somebody to just draw a map of this. Let me know. Please tell me. Inform me of these underground lucha things. God damn it. But yeah, so what do you think of this setup? Again, Dario just showing off his acting chops here. I love Dario, and the more we see of him, the more I'm like, yeah, just hire actors. No more wrestlers as authority figures, except William Regal. He can do no wrong.
It's such a huge difference, and I think it really helps to establish a really clear, person who not only is in charge, but also from the very beginning has questionable sort of motives and intentions with what he's doing and why he's doing it. So it makes it very clear from the get-go that, Dario Cueto, he's a suspicious general manager here. He's a suspicious owner.
Yeah, who knows? This is gonna be this is gonna be interesting because clearly he's not a fan of the person who has his championship. But you know what? We're gonna start off with a 4-way elimination match here, not a fatal 4-way. With Aerostar, not the Ford minivan that we had in the 90s. A luchador named Aerostar. Another one named Argenis, Argenis, and Angelico. But really, the one that this is about here, the man, the machine, Cage. Yeah, and it's interesting to have a Cage featured in this style of match, since he is the least lucha there. He's just a pure power wrestler, and I think I saw one of the most impressive things, which was he catches Aerostar from a dive and just stalls him into a just stalls him before giving him a power slam. Great display of strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Angelico is also getting over huge with his movie.
Young Angelico here. Oh man, I remember first seeing him. I'm sorry, I love Angelico now. But when I first saw him, I was like, what a dork. Like when he comes out and he's super cocky and very swaggering around, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not going to like this guy. And then I end up loving him now. And it's funny because I think commentary compares him both to Zack Sabre Jr. as well as X-Pac. as they're sort of hyping him up and introducing him to the crowd.
Yeah, and again, he just has this incredible athleticism, which is a great compliment to having Cage's just raw strength in this match.
Power.
Yeah, and Cage is able to eliminate Argenis quickly, and he uses Aerostar as a weapon against Angelico before eliminating him as well. And this, I need to talk about this. This is going to be one of the clips in this episode. Brian Cage gives the most brick wall lariat I've ever seen to Angelico. Like, when he gives Angelico that lariat, his body just stops moving and falls. Like, he doesn't, like, go through it. He doesn't go flying. It's just like, boom, down. Oh, yeah, obviously Cage gets the win here, but, yeah, I thought it was a really interesting way to debut him.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, three luchador or three wrestlers with much more lucha libre style and Brian Cage. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the contrast between their styles was really evident from the get-go. I have it in my notes. Lots of high flying, very acrobatic, speed focused offense, and Cage.
Yeah, that is a very accurate way to put it. Especially, and I thought it was a good choice to have Cage get all of the eliminations as well.
Oh, yeah. In minutes. They took him out for a while, and then it was the three of them that kind of were against each other. And then he came back and just boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. In, I think, a span of maybe 5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Also, unrelated, is this the first time in wrestling that we see Melissa Santos and Brian Cage together in a room?
I think so, because I do believe they actually met through Lucha Underground. So, yeah,
I think so too.
This may be their first meeting. So hooray! I don't know what Melissa Santos did before Lucha Underground, so I haven't researched her enough.
I'm not as familiar, yeah.
But we get a segment here, a little interview in the middle of the ring. Chavo Guerrero Jr. out there, and he invites Blue Demon out to join him in the ring so he can apologize. Blue Demon comes out, he's dressed business casual with
oh yeah, Blue Demon, looking crisp with that nice blue shirt, very neat.
He's got his fancy mask on.
Oh yeah, and it's such the classic bait and switch, right? Chavo going out there and be like, I want to apologize, for my actions. I want to apologize for this. So Blue Demon, I'm out here. I want to say this to your face. And then it's like, I'm sorry. I didn't expose you for the fraud you are. And it's like, whoa, we thought it was done. It ain't done.
It is, who's really good at doing that style of promo is Alexa Bliss. Like, as a heel, she does that all the time. And I fall for it every single time, even though heel Alexa Bliss is going to do it.
Right? No, I remember that promo she gave after she won the women's title. And it's like, is this a face turn? She's talking about she's doing it for all. And I'm like, oh my God. Is this a face turn? Is this a face turn? And then at the last second, she heals it up. I'm like, oh, thank God. I thought I was about to. I was scared for a second.
Yeah, although I do love how Chavo is not so subtly putting on the brass knuckles. Like, he's taking his sweet time trying to get those on.
Oh yeah, no, I thought that was great. I have that in my notes. Got them brass knuckles, though.
Yeah, I also think Chavo might be the only person that protects himself from headshots. So good job, Chavo.
I mean, he's given out a bunch, so he's got to know how to protect himself from them.
Yeah, and next up, we have another continuation of this feud. These guys have, in 10 episodes, 3 of them have featured these two men facing each other, and 2 of them still had these men in it. It is Drago versus King Cuerno. So yeah, half of these episodes have had an interaction between these two in some way. More than half if you count their gargoyle stalking things as well.
Yeah, so I have in my notes actually Drago versus King Cuerno some more. The rubber match, if you will.
If you will. This is. It doesn't take long for a table to come into play, but Drago is actually able to get Cuerno onto the table, and he goes up and dives through the table. Like, just by the way, he dives, like, he splashes through the table, And because of where he hits Cuerno, it looks like his face eats the floor. Like, it looks like his face
Yeah.
comes down before the rest of his body going through that table. So, there is also a count out. I don't remember the ref counting here. I didn't like rewind, but I didn't even catch the ref counting. But the ref calls off the match. It's a double count out.
Because of course this is the tiebreaker match. Both men really want this second victory in this series. So what happens? Of course, double count out. You know, they can't let this end that soon.
Right, yeah, we've still got 130 episodes of the show to go.
Exactly.
We have a small video package for Fenix that may be one of the worst voice acted things I heard.
Oof. I've talked a lot in the past about how I feel about the voiceovers on these Lucha Underground videos. You know, I like the actual production quality of the video as far as the editing of the visuals and what the visuals elicit as far as emotional response from me. But the voiceovers are a little bit rough for me, to say the least, and this was no different, which is a bummer because I like Fenix. I think he's an incredible talent. And while this might have worked for some people, it's similar to the Pentagon one. It didn't work for me, which is funny because I love them. So just an interesting thing. I think since both of us are also in theater and performers in that frame as well, you have a lot more experience, of course, in ring than I do, you know, way exponentially more. But as far as being honest, yeah. I mean, you know, I've taken some stuff, never an actual match, but you know, tried to do a little bit of training here and there. But as far as our experience on the stage, I think we both have sort of the similar kind of experience on being on stage, and we notice those sorts of things in promos and video packages when something is kind of off and it doesn't quite jive. It really, I think we might be a little bit more critical than other people of it because of that.
Right. Because let's be honest, most people don't expect wrestling to have good acting in it anyway. It's in fact one of the long-running jokes. But yes, but again, it's sometimes very distracting if you. It can be very distracting if something is not done well. But speaking of something that is done well, though, we had a package for Fenix. Wasn't a fan of that. What I was a fan of is this next match, our main event, Fenix versus Prince Puma for the Lucha Underground Championship, the first ever defense of the Lucha Underground Championship on the episode after the championship is won. So, there's
hitting the ground running, really.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that there's no like real ladder as far as like there's no like ranking system in place, or there wasn't even really like a feud in place between Fenix and Puma. I was kind of surprised Mundo didn't get the first shot at it. So having Fenix go in there against Puma is a bold choice. A lot of fine flippy shit going on.
Yes, absolutely. And I liked actually that the video package at the beginning, or not the video package, but the sort of vignette at the beginning of the episode kind of explained why it was Fenix. And it, I think, feeds in very well to the sort of overarching authority of Dario Cueto, right? Where he gets to make these calls, he gets to call these shots and say, yeah, maybe so-and-so might deserve it a little bit more, but you know who I want to see? I want to see it be you, Fenix. So I'm making this match. You're going to be the one. You've impressed me. Show me what you got. Go up against the champ. So I liked that, and I liked how it fed into storyline a lot. And one thing that I wanted to point out, I know both Fenix as well as Prince Puma, and we had talked about this, I think, in the episode before the last one, episode 8, where there were the two 10-man matches, looking at ring gear and specifically mask color, because Fenix and Prince Puma both are usually in yellow. So Phoenix changes it up to be in purple mask this time, which I thought
It
was
looks
kind
good.
of nice. Yeah, it looked good, and also I think it helps for people who maybe aren't as familiar with either of them to differentiate between the two, which is something that I think is nice that they think of,
You know, I
to have that little differentiation.
I definitely agree, because like in WWE it's usually a lot more blatant people's differences when you see them. In Lucha, in things like AAA or CMLL, it may not if you're not familiar, or like even something like New Japan. If you're not familiar, someone really has to have a personality. Like I know most people, they have to learn who the Young Lions are, versus seeing someone like uh, Hiromu out there, or seeing someone like Okada or Tanahashi. But
Yeah.
but again, it's very cool that they recognize the rest of the world when it comes to this, and that it exists concurrently with the world of Lucha Underground. And there are some top tier Lucha things in this main event. Prince Puma,
Oh yeah.
Prince Puma does get the win, but after that win, Cage charges the ring and shows off his beefy McMuscles by just brutalizing Puma, like power slamming him like a just complete ragdoll.
Absolutely.
It was insane. It was awesome, but it was insane. Great way to end the show, and also a great overarching display of Cage, having him both in the first event of the night and having him put the exclamation point on the final moment.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think this was definitely the Brian Cage is here episode, and it needed to be.
Right, and
because he's so different.
Overall though, what was your thoughts of the complete show?
I liked it. It's very difficult for me to find wrestling that I dislike, and with Lucha Underground, when there's so much talent in ring, it's hard to be a miss. And the main event to me was so cool, because then you look at where these two men are now, where Fenix is now, where Prince Puma is now, to see two people who many consider to be the most talented, popular, greatest high-flying wrestlers in the world today go at it back then in Lucha Underground. This was in early 2015, I believe, correct?
Yes, yeah. This is the earliest of 2015.
So, I mean, an incredible testament to see they were so talented then. They've only grown and evolved more since then. And also interesting that in this match, Puma got to show a little bit more of the power game than Fenix. I mean, he's I think slightly more muscular than Fenix is, and getting to see him hit that different aspect, because Fenix and Prince Puma, I keep wanting to call him Ricochet, but Fenix and Prince Puma have so many of the same talents as far as aerial ability. And so getting one over the other as far as those sorts of moves is going to be incredibly difficult, because your opponent has your number and then some for all of those. And I liked the establishment of Cage throughout this. I liked the introduction of Angelico. Looking back, I totally forgot his sort of character initially in this episode, because I remember him a little bit more differently from the wrestling and the sorts of feuds and relationships that he had after this, and then of course in other independent promotions. And yeah, it was just a really nice, I think, sort of fresh start after the Aztec warfare, to introduce a lot of people, to remind people of certain feuds that are still going on that haven't been settled, and to really make, I don't know if I want to say a star out of Puma, but to really establish, like, no, this is why he's the champion. Some people may have had doubts before, and I think he's giving Puma these matches to sort of silence the doubt.
No, I absolutely agree. Again, this was a really cool show to feature people. Cage getting all three eliminations in that opening match was awesome, but at the same time, it really put over Angelico, who had a style that was perfect for Lucha Underground. Having Drago versus Cuerno was a little weird with the way that they had the count out finish, but I kind of still understand. And yeah, Phoenix going in there. I think we're also starting to see a bit of like Dario wanting to really stick it to Puma and even probably Mundo. So there's a lot of build still left to go. Overall, the Lucha Underground has returned to its storytelling, and this show is excellent at that. I have no complaints in any way whatsoever. But you know what? Angie, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. So I am, like how Felix introduced me at the beginning, I am a part of Mid Card Mana. We are a wrestling show that sort of talks about kind of current events in wrestling over in Hawaii, even though we're living in the past, since we're 6 hours behind you and many, many hours behind lots of other people as well. And I'm also a part of Valley Isle Collective, which is a little bit more broad as far as topics of discussion, focusing on favorite entrance themes, a lot more opinion-based stuff like that.
And I'm Felix. You can find me anywhere as our Felix Finch or as Frisco Flame. You can buy my merch at friscoflame.com. I have pins now. I have many pins. So reach out to me at Frisco Flame or at our Felix Finch on Twitter or Instagram. And even reach out to at Lucha Things Show, because check it out. We've got a pin, and that's upside down. So there's the actual pin. It's not quite focusing, but we have merch now for the store, so hooray. And follow us on any podcast app you want, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple Podcast, whether it's Castbox. I don't know if we're on Stitcher. I had a little trouble trying to upload to that one. But if you can find us there also. And yeah, subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube, Frisco Flame. And yeah, we will see you here every Wednesday and Friday with more Underground Lucha Things for Angie and myself. Peace out, party peoples. See you next time.
Bang, bang.